Greetings YouTube and welcome to the Blue Corner, and in this video I have for you guys another Cardfight Vanguard deck profile, and it's once again going to be Narukami, this time though featuring Eradicators with Dragonic Descendant, and this is pretty much just one last hurrah with the deck I have here, as the format is going to be coming to an end this weekend, and we'll begin the starting stages of the Legion format where Limit Break decks are going to struggle, this one being no exception. And yeah, so this is just like my finalized build. I might revisit this one more time when we get Egghelm Draco Kid, but I'm pretty much all gear and set to start playing Brawlers in the near future, so yeah. I decided to take this out to locals recently for one last hurrah. I ended up getting 3rd place because freaking grade lock. I dropped the game because of that, and if it wasn't for that loss, I would have actually gone 1st. I'm pretty convinced of that, but otherwise the deck performed well. This is a more somewhat techie build, as I deviated a little bit from what you'd normally see, at least in a couple card choices, but anyway, let's begin with the starter, Linchu. I don't think I need to explain why this thing is amazing, picking off grade 1s and 0s, 5k boost. Linchu is the best starter that the Eradicators have and always will have. Then for grade 3s, 3 Descendant, I don't think I need to go over this guy a whole lot either. Restanding Vanguards are the best kind of Vanguards in the game, and Descendant is pretty much one of the more difficult ones to deal with when you're at 4 damage, because do you let it hit and potentially score a crit off the drive check, or do you guard it the first time and then guard it again because it's going to get the crit? So he'll either get an attack off at 4 damage, or he'll knock 2 to 4 cards of the opponent's hand. Break riding into this thing is pretty legitimate too. 2100 swings twice, 21,000 swings twice is quite rough to deal with, and the pump skill comes up now and then. And then I cut down Gauntlet Buster to 1. I was actually experimenting with 3 a while ago, but then I ended up cutting it down to 2, and then I ended up cutting it to 1 because Gauntlet Buster's retire skills and retiring in general just isn't as powerful now as it was at the beginning of the format. But he's still useful for his Limit Break, the ability to gain crits and pressure your opponent, and he has fun interactions with the Break Ride, Ignition Dragon, but the Counterblast 2 Retire 1 just is not as powerful as it used to be, so that's why I cut him down to 1, as he's great for that mid-game pressure, but otherwise I don't really want to see him later on. And instead I opted to run this, instead of the second Gauntlet Buster, a copy of Tempest Bolt Dragon. The idea behind Tempest Bolt Dragon is, while he isn't as great standalone as Gauntlet Buster is, like this guy creates pressure at 3 damage, he can potentially kill your opponent. This guy is really good in some specific matchups where your opponent really does have to commit a lot of cards to the board in order to try and win, like Dragonic Overlord, the Rebirth, Aqua Force, Shadow Paladins, those type of decks where they pretty much have to overextend for their plays. Tempest Bolt Dragon punishes them by Counterblast 3, retire everything, and then when you attack with him, he gains +2 for every unoccupied rearguard circle. So if you have an open field and they have an open field, he's 31. If you have a 7k booster behind him, then he's not 31. He gets 10 for their side of the field, and then 8 for your side of the field, plus a 7. So he can swing for pretty good large amounts of damage. And even with just like 2 open rearguard lines from you and your opponent, because your opponent knows you're playing Eradicators, therefore they want to keep their guys safe from dying, it's still 2, 4, 6, 8k, so he's 19 plus 7, so that this guy can swing for good amounts of damage, and in those specific matchups, he can swing the game around and just really set your opponent back. He's not great against everything though, which is why I just want the one of, because he's there for when I need it. But when I don't want him, then he's not going to be the extra copy isn't going to be a dead draw. Same for Gauntlet Buster. I can have the one when I want, and then not have multiples when I don't want them. Whereas Descendant I want to see almost all the time. And then rounding it out, 3 Break Rides. I never really got around to picking up more copies of Ignition Dragon, so I'm making do with these Vowlings. But let's just pretend these are 3 Ignitions. Ignition's ability is when you Break Ride on top of it, you Counterblast 1, your opponent chooses 2 of their rear guards and retires it. This is a much more powerful skill than Vowling Sword, who is just retire 1. Being able to retire 2 for a Counterblast of 1 is really good now, and it's pretty much going to become the norm for a lot of units in the future. I'm looking at you, Perdition Dragons, and This guy has some pretty good interactions with Gauntlet Buster Dragon, as he will trigger his limit break 2 times, so Gauntlet Buster will be 21, then 24, and then 27 with 2 crits, so they'll probably have to guard it, otherwise they die. And with Tempest Bolt, it's just 2 more open slots, so he gets +4, so he's at 25. And for Descendant, it's just you clear 2 rear guards, and then swing for 21, potentially twice. So it's pretty good, and sometimes break riding ignition on top of ignition isn't that bad of a thing too. It's just constant retire 2 things, and there's some other cards in here that benefit from you riding a grade 3. But yeah, this is the de facto best break ride in the deck, and he also has good interactions with the newly released Eradicator Shotgun, the newly released Brawler Shotgun Blow Dragon, because break riding Shotgun Blow on top of this and then performing your Legion play will kill 4 things for 3 counterblast, which is kind of dumb. Then for the grade 2s, I am running 4 12k attackers, 3 damage on flippers, 2 10ks, and 2 Cho-Os. Looks familiar? It's pretty much the exact same line as my Vermilion deck. Difference being that, yeah, I cut Cho-O. I was cutting Cho-O down from 4 to 3 for a long while, then I decided to come from 3 to 2 because Gauntlet Buster got cut down to 1, and when Gauntlet Buster doesn't see much play, Cho-O's usefulness kind of just gets reduced, especially seeing as, again, you're only retiring 1 unit, and putting a card into Soul isn't exactly always the best thing. Like, I would have much preferred this guy be Counterblast 1, pick off a front row rear guard, much like the grade 2 that's in the upcoming booster set for BT16 with Narukami. They'll get like a grade 2 version of, they'll get like a Counterblast 1 version of this guy, which is a lot better than put one into the Soul. I mean, yeah, you don't Counterblast with this guy, but it's still giving up a body. And so Cho-O's just there to pick off those interceptors, otherwise you don't really want to use them a whole lot. And then for grade 1s, 4 perfect guards, pretty staple, 3 Zuki, Shuki, also pretty staple, 3 copies of Threatening Deadly Gun Eradicator Ue. This guy's ability is when you ride a grade 3 when you ride a grade 3 Narukami, he can move himself into the Soul to pick off a front row rear guard. And because how Vanguard allows you to construct your chains as you wish, you can in fact go like this. If you have an Ignition Dragon in play and you break ride, you can make it so that Ue will resolve first, picking off a front row, and then Ignition Dragon will make your opponent pick off one of the back row and then a front row rear guard or whatever, and then you'll end up getting 3 retires, and then this guy goes up 3 times, and then he gets really stupid. And because this guy is generic, he's also splashable in some other Narukami decks, which I will maybe experiment with in regards to both Vermilion and Shotgun Blow Dragon. We'll see. After that, 2 Demolition Dragons, 10k attackers, 2 Rising Phoenix, really good. And then for the triggers, it's actually really standard now. I got 8 crits, 4 draws. I'm mixing up which draw triggers I use so my opponent doesn't know if I'm running more than just the standard 4, because if they see 3 of these, then they are probably going to assume I'm running 4. But if they see 2 of these and 1 of these, then for all they know, I could be running 6 draws, which could screw up their math, in theory. And then 4 heals. So that's pretty much it for the deck. Hope you guys enjoyed what you saw. As for what will be coming up on this channel in terms of content, well, Waltz of the Goddess is coming out this weekend, and that has the new Regalia support, so you know I'm going to be going after that and trying to build Yggdrasil Legion. I also picked up a Liberator core, so I'm going to be building Blue Flames when that comes out. I've also started picking up Musketeers from BT17 comes out, because I'm not going to lie, I actually am interested in building a Vera deck. It just looks so neat and fun, so fuck it, why not? Musketeer cards are cheap anyway, because nobody likes Neonectar. And speaking of stuff nobody also wants to build Tetra Burst Dragon when that comes out in December, so I'm going to have an easy as hell time building Aquaforce Legion. So those are my deck projects, in addition to trying to get some more games on here, and trying to do some more like actual talk, like meta talk, and analyzing some stuff. And I know friends are going to be building some other decks, so I'll actually be able to get profiles of their shit too, like Garnet Star Dragon Link Joker, and Seeker Royal Paladins, and such forth. So that's all for then. I'm also open to suggestions on what I can do for Vanguard content on here, so by all means, post your ideas below if you have any. And what are your thoughts on just this break ride format that we've been through starting last September? Because it's coming to an end this weekend, pretty much, and there were definitely some highs and there were definitely some lows. I'm not going to deny that. So share with me, you guys, your stories about some of the crazy things that you've done during the break ride format. I think mine would have to be pumping Gauntlet Buster up to 6 crits and powering through a 2 to pass with that. And I think I hit a crit off that, so I ended up getting to 7 crits with Gauntlet Buster. That was pretty stupid, but oh, and this guy too. What was it? I broke road this guy, cleared the board. So that was 31, and I'm pretty sure I got this guy close to 50 or something. So yeah, those would be the dumb things I've done during this break ride format. By all means, so share me your stories. Until next time, this is Blue99 checking out.